Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar today. My name is Gina Breinig, and I work in the Health Promotion Department at the Health Plan. We believe each person's well-being is multidimensional, going beyond just physical health, which is why our wellness program focuses on 8 dimensions: emotional, environmental, social, spiritual, personal, professional, nutritional, financial, and physical. We are excited to offer a number of short educational videos on these dimensions and hope you're able to gain new knowledge and motivation to help you continue on your own journey to optimal well-being. Before we get started today, first some housekeeping items. We have everyone in listen-only mode for best sound quality, but there is a chat feature you can use to submit any questions. We will compile all the questions and send them out with responses to everyone after the webinar. This webinar is being recorded, so for those who are listening to the recording, there is an email at the end of the presentation where you can submit any questions. And now I'd like to introduce Kathy Chambers, who will be speaking about finding joy, a topic in our emotional dimension. Kathy is a health transformation consultant for the Health Plan and has almost 30 years experience in mental health. She is a licensed professional counselor and a certified case manager. Thank you, Kathy, for sharing your time and information with us today.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you to everyone who is joining us. Now more than ever, finding joy is something that we have to keep in the forefront of our thoughts and actions as we go through our days. In the time we have together today, we're going to focus on the definition of joy, obstacles that get in the way of our joy, and 3 things that you can practice to start cultivating your own joy. So first, what is joy? Joy is a feeling of great pleasure and happiness, something that we allow and invite from within, and it's our true self. Oftentimes, we think that success causes happiness. If I can make a certain amount of money, then I will finally be happy. If I can find a great person to date, then I will be happy. If my kids would just behave, boy, would I be happy. The problem is that we are constantly moving the benchmark, and we are rarely satisfied when we achieve what we thought would make us happy. In reality, happiness is the precursor to success. How often do we see the privilege in what we are able to do? Sometimes it takes us losing to truly appreciate what we have. For example, I'm stuck at home versus I'm safe at home. Notice how one word can change the tone. So this all sounds well and good, but how do we actually get closer to our joy? As we explore how to find joy, I think it's helpful to first start with what might actually be getting in our way. So let's take a look at a sampling of some of the obstacles that get in the way of us finding joy. The first one, worry. Did you know that 85% of what we worry about never happens? And for the 15% that does happen, 79% of the subjects in the study discovered that they could handle the difficulty better than they expected, or they said it was a lesson worth learning. So that means 97% of our worry is just a fearful mind full of exaggerations and misperceptions, yet the worry is still something that consumes us. The second is unrealistic expectations. So there are 2 psychological facts I'm going to share with you. Number 1, merely expecting, wishing, or praying for something to happen won't actually make it happen. So developmentalist psychologist Jean Piaget calls this magical thinking. And number 2, humans have a natural tendency to pin our hopes for happiness on fulfilled expectations. Now, this isn't a problem if we take the necessary steps to fulfill them. The issue is when we expect something to happen without good reason. I want you to think about expectations as premeditated resentments. Have you ever done everything that you should do? You ate healthy, you exercised, you got a good night's sleep, and you still gained weight? Have you ever asked your teen in the morning to do the dishes and come home from work to find they're not done? Oftentimes, the expectations are not just what is actionable for us, but what our expectations are for someone else. Again, this works great if the other person agrees, but if they have no interest or have other priorities, we end up feeling shocked, morally indignant, and resentful. The third area of joy obstacles that I wanted to talk about was perfectionistic tendencies. Many of us have been conditioned to hold ourselves to impossible standards. If we can't do it to almost perfection, we don't want to do it at all. And if we're below the standard that we set, it is so bothersome to us that we may ruminate on it for days. In society, we have a comparative mindset where we rate or grade ourselves in comparison to others in almost everything we do. Think of what you want or expect of your kids. Would you be disappointed if your child didn't go to college but chose a trade school? What about in your work or the things you can or cannot buy? Bottom line, the comparison mindset feeds our perfectionistic tendencies and almost always leads to negative self-judgment. We all know how painful it is to judge ourselves negatively, but actually we can change this habit. Pleasing others. Now, pleasing others does bring us joy. However, it is a problem when it becomes so rooted in who we are, and this is likely stemming from insecurity within ourselves, that we lose the ability to set limits. People pleasers tend to primarily focus attention on meeting the needs, desires, and emotions of others, and tend to lose sight of attending to their own needs, desires, and emotions. The have to syndrome. This ties in with pleasing others. When we think we have to do something for some reason, but we really don't want to. Oftentimes, this stems from our need to please, our inability to say no, or our assumption. The question to really ask yourself is, why? Go through the 5 whys. Why do I have to do this? Why is it important? And just keep working your way down to get to the root of the issue. Guilt. Guilt is an internal emotion that falls in the general category of sadness. It is appropriate when we do something wrong and feel remorse. It is a problem when we cannot let go of the guilt after we've acknowledged and apologized. A few other examples of guilt. Guilt about something you didn't do, but want to. Guilt for something you think you did. Guilt that you didn't do enough to help someone, or guilt that you are doing better than someone, which is also called survivor guilt. As you can imagine, guilt makes us hesitant to embrace the joy in life. Out of these 6 obstacles, think about what tends to get in the way of your joy the most. I want you to think about this as we move through the remainder of our time together. The joy obstacles all tie in to negative thoughts, and the negative thoughts drive our actions and behavior and can cloud our perception or views. So limiting beliefs. This gets in the way of our accepting our full potential. For example, I have a limited belief that I am really bad at technology. I'm going to use this as an example for our next slide, so I'm going to actually come back to this. Wishing for better. This gets in the way of enjoying the moment or what we do have. We forget to be appreciative and thankful for what we have. And specific problem areas. So this is that limited thinking, or what I call brain blocks. I want to go hiking, but it's raining. The reality is I could still hike in the rain, but my faulty thinking has blocked my ability to see this. So a couple of things I want you to think about as we start moving into the principles of reframing negative thoughts. Number 1, thoughts are just thoughts. We are the ones that assign meaning based on how we interpret the event. Events and situations do not have built-in meaning. Things are the way they are because of how we look at it. And every thought has a hidden frame behind it. Our beliefs and our assumptions are implied by our thoughts. When you think you will never be able to find someone to love because all men or women are jerks, part of that frame is that people can't be trusted. There is positive attention behind every negative thought. This is something that's so important to remember. The negative inner thought is trying to help you in some way. Maybe you have been hurt in the past or criticized, and the negative thought is trying to protect you from additional hurt. Okay, the last slide I mentioned that I have a limited belief that I am bad at technology. Based on this, I resist and dig my heels into anything new. Take this webinar, for example. This is my very first one, and it's actually taken me over a year to complete. Not because of the content, but because it is a different way of delivering the information and a whole host of what if scenarios. I could have continued to avoid it, but I finally asked myself the question, what is the evidence that I am bad at technology? By doing this, I learned that actually it has more to do with a lack of interest, and it is not a priority for me to become good at it. It's just not for me. And quite frankly, that's different from being bad at it. So now we're going to focus on 3 areas to consider as you start preparing for or strengthening your cultivation of joy. So we're going to be taking a look at wonder instead of worry, compassion, and being present. So when we take a look at this worry versus wonder, what we're needing to do is reframe it. So think about the worry being on one side of a pendulum and wonder on the other side. What is a realistic opposite of what you are worrying about? On the slide, I've given you a couple of general ideas. Maybe they fit for you, maybe they don't, but let's take a quick look at them. The worry, what if I fail? The wonder of that, what if it's an opportunity to try something new? The worry, what if I'm rejected? The wonder, what if I'm actually accepted? The worry, what will others think? The wonder, what does it matter? Could this actually bring me joy? The worry, what if it doesn't work out? The wonder, what if it does and I learn along the way? So at some point, what I want you to do is actually spend some time with yourself and write down your top 5 worst case scenarios. Then write down 5 believable best case scenarios. Because we don't know the future, both lists are actually possible. The question I have for you is, are you giving them equal time in your thoughts? Or are you giving all of your energy to that worry? Self-compassion. We tend to offer more grace, understanding, and compassion to others. What would it be like if we approached our own needs through the same lens? When we identify unhelpful thoughts, think about what you would say to a friend or a loved one if they came to you with that statement. This can help us to start thinking of how to replace the negative, unhelpful thought with more realistic or adaptive ones. Practice self-compassion. This actually starts with awareness and curiosity. When you notice that your inner voice is sabotaging your joy, stop, breathe, notice, choose differently. Consider what you might say to a friend. Would you actually say, stop it? You're enjoying what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you excel at it. Just enjoy it. As we become more practiced, we start to increase our psychological flexibility, which means that we are able to flexibly shift our attention between that of others and ourselves. Remember, seeking to please ourselves is not mutually exclusive with pleasing others. You can do both. Be present. When you become aware that you're comparing yourself to others over something you're doing, stop the stressful habit by bringing yourself to the present moment. To do this, take a couple of conscious breaths and switch your attention to the sincere effort you're putting into the activity, and maybe even how much fun it is. A final thought for you. Find joy in everything you choose to do. Every job, relationship, home. It's your responsibility to love it or to change it. If we want a life of joy, we need to make the choices that can lead us there. We need to be excited about our jobs, our relationships, ourselves. Otherwise, how can we feel the joy of living? So thank you, everyone, for taking a few moments out of your busy days to spend with me. I appreciated sharing the information with you. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Kathy. That was great information. And thank you to everyone who has attended today. If you have any further questions, please send us an email. Thank